Nothing's ever easy on episode 344 of We Were Gamers, JJ.
Ain't that the truth, Andrew?
It's more the truth every day, my friend. Look, JJ, the mouse is moving.
Mm-hmm.
And if I open this window and I click on it and I wanted to, like type something in the search box, the keyboard is also working.
Hey.
Those are Bluetooth devices.
We can do it. See, it's just we can't have the camera on.
Yeah. So welcome to a new episode of We Were Gamers. If you loved last week because you listened to the podcast on your headphones and not with YouTube up, you're going to love this week too, where we continue working on this fun little Steam Deck because our minder isn't here to keep us on track, right?
Is that what we say? That's
just I think Michael's probably the most buttoned up and on track among us. Maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, maybe yeah, okay. I could go with that.
Yeah. It's definitely not me.
No.
Yeah.
I yell too much for it to be me, so.
Yep, exactly. That wasn't my go-to explanation. You like tangents.
I just follow where the will takes me.
You're a flow guy.
I don't let the man or the schedule or topics of conversation tell me what we should or shouldn't talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. This is becoming a fun little hobby of mine. As we sit here with this weird screen open, I'm going to click mount and open on my drive that I've named after a mouse droid, by the way, MSE6, in case you were wondering. In here is a game named Suikoden II that we own, and a BIOS file for PlayStation.
Like, hey, I bought. Well, to be fair, I didn't buy it. I guess it was given to me for Christmas on release. Suikoden II. I have an original copy for the PS1.
We've got a PlayStation sitting around here somewhere. So
I looked this game up a while ago before it had gotten re-released on the PS3 as like a PS1 classic or whatever.
Yeah, I think I have that on the Vita.
$300 or $400 for a copy of this game.
It's still worth like in the 200s because people want the physical copies. We're going to talk about that today. Let's talk about physical games today, JJ, because that's going to be a thing that it took over my life over the weekend, and it is something I gotten into a little bit on understanding what's valuable to me. I think we talked about this at the end of last year, but Suikoden is very valuable to you, right? It's worth $200 and it's still sitting on your shelf because it's valuable to you.
I think this is far and away the most expensive game I own, like rarest, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like,
I probably have
not that rare, but it was not printed a ton of, and it was not super popular at the time.
I don't know how much Final Fantasy 3 on the SNES is going for. It was like $100 ish.
It's going for a lot now, but again, all popular SNES games are going for a lot now.
Yeah,
it's not like exactly rare. I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Sold quite well.
I've got some of those gold cartridge Zelda games. Maybe those are worth something. I don't know.
The thing about games that are worth a lot is either they are obscure, right? Like this one is kind of obscure, or they didn't print very many of them, right? Because they didn't make a lot of them or whatever, and then they got popular later.
Yeah,
those are games that are worth a lot. I imagine those Zelda cartridges are worth something, if only because there was a billion Zeldas made, but Zelda is super popular and everyone wants one.
And carts, carts are harder to find good copies of with boxes and all that sort of thing.
Right. Definitely if you want, boxes and, manuals and all that sort of stuff, the price goes up quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm copying the Suikoden ROM over that you were kind enough to make for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we put that into PlayStation, I believe, in this folder here.
Yeah, it's a PS1 game.
So it's going to be under PS probably. PSP, PSX.
PSX will be the one. Yeah,
that's the one. Okay, so we'll paste that. while we're talking, while that's copying, JJ, last time we couldn't figure out what was going on. I'm going to show you real quick. I don't know if you watched the podcast thing, but we'll show the people.
I did,
also.
but yeah, let's show it.
This is cool. Downloading an update.
Hey,
EMU Deck will restart. What a cool program, you guys. You know, good for them. Whoa. Okay, we got changes here. Yeah, go ahead.
I will say a lot of emulators seem to be quite good about having auto updates turned on.
Good.
And I boot, whenever I boot an emulator on my PC, I'll frequently get a little pop up that's like, "Hey, man, you want to download the newest version? It's version this, and here's the version you have." And like, I don't say that I always do it, but I definitely will be like, "All right, like, am I more than a couple versions behind? Yeah, I'll grab the new one."
Yeah. Decky plug-in to check EMU Deck controls for each emulator while on game. Okay. Install it from tools. New parsers. Same Boy PS1 on RPCS3 and Sharp X68000, Commodore VIC-20, and Commodore C16. Not consoles I'm familiar with.
Well, the PS1 on RPCS3 is using RPCS3, which is a PS3 emulator, to run PS1 games.
Interesting.
Similar to how you could stick a PS1 disc into a PS3 and it would work.
Why would they do that?
You can do it with just a PS3. You just stick the PS1 disc in there.
So it's got support for that original PS3. Because they took PS1. That out. My PS3 doesn't do that.
No. They took out the PS2.
Oh, that's right. I got it backwards.
PS1 always worked.
Yeah.
And so this is something that I found very interesting is for the years that I had a PS1 growing up. Yeah. And then I had a PS2 in college until it got stolen. And then
bummer, man.
I had a PS3. Oh no, sorry, all the games got stolen. The PS2 itself didn't get stolen.
Too hard to unplug it.
Our apartment got broken into and like a bunch of stuff got taken. But the PS3 I had when I was living on my own after college, and I was like, I played a bunch of PS1 games on it because it doesn't support the backwards compatibility PS2 stuff.
Correct.
I didn't have any PS2 games. I did have PS1 games and some PS3 games that I had bought at that time. But I was able to play my old PS1 games on the PS3, no problem. You just stick it in there.
Nice. Other bug fixes. This is probably important. Solved an issue preventing retro achievements from working.
It's probably not important, most likely.
Passwords, bezel fixes. Okay. All right, whatever. Go back. Yeah. Sounds good. Checking for updates. We're gonna go to tools and stuff, I think. Downloading files. We have to do the actual update. Right?
I don't know.
Custom update. I don't know why it's... I guess that's what it downloaded was the update. What are we doing?
Updating stuff.
We have to go through all this again, huh?
I don't know.
Why do I gotta click through all this stuff again? Just... Oh, maybe because I told it I wanted to overwrite everything? I don't know. Everything's the same, though. Do you... No. Okay. We can talk then while this is... Oh, wait. Watch log. Important.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I gotta click this button.
Click watch log. Okay. Well, that's confusing and weird, but we'll go through the install update thing again, I guess. Just seeing whatever it's trying to do. I hope it doesn't overwrite all the ROMs. It shouldn't, right?
I have no idea what it will or won't do.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting experiment. I don't know. I don't know why it wanted me to go through all this again. Or did I just assume it did and just reinstall the whole thing for some reason?
Bro, you're asking me questions that I'm not going to be capable of answering here.
Yeah, but we're on a podcast, so it's like either we sit here and stare at this and all wonder what the heck happened, or we talk about it. I mean, very clearly, it is not installing everything it did last time. It's almost done installing. So I think that was the update. Well, time will tell. I guess we should talk about what I did this weekend. I pulled every retro console I own and some of the other ones I have acquired recently, like an Analog NT Mini Noir, Analog Pocket, and all of them out. And I'm recondoed myself into making sure that I sincerely wanted these things in my life. I was put into a little bit of a funk because JJ, have you seen the prices for misters?
Oh, I mean, I believe they're expensive. Stuff is expensive these days. You know, not only with quote unquote inflation.
Yeah, did you hear about
but
this thing with the eggs?
Look, man, companies make money and they call it inflation, and then their profits are 700% higher than they ever have been before. And they're like, man, this was crazy. How much the inflation, huh, guys? Yeah, that's called greed.
I appreciate you distilling it to one word. I like that quite a bit.
Feel free to. That, by the way, that was the reason gas prices went up before too. Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's all the same. Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page here.
But look, man. Yeah, those Mister boards that were being used for the Mister were not the most available thing before.
Yeah, they come from one company, right? Unless you get a knockoff one. And it's a small company, and they make them by hand. And
right, they weren't the most available thing, and that was like when the Mister was only a little popular, and now it's kind of a lot popular. So, I expect the prices go up and down. Right, they'll go down as supply of those chips is made, and the people get a handle on the orders, and But it's yeah, I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, like how much was one of those analog NTs or the minis cost, right? Like they're not cheap either.
Yeah, retail they're still less than a Mister, which is mind-boggling, right? Like,
well, yeah, but that's like if you could you get one retail? Like they don't make them, right?
No, you can't get one retail. You can get. I guess you could order a Super NT Mini right now. Pre-order one for whenever the heck they are able to make them. But could a Super NT Mini do everything a Mister could do?
No.
Okay, so the answer to that question is easy, right? If it can't do,
well, I guess so. I guess to be fair, I don't know what kinds of capability exists for the Super NT Mini core, like the chip inside there.
Yeah.
But by the virtue of it being a like kind of a more closed system, you're less likely to be able to get 10,000 people working on it like you can with the Mister, right? Which is inherently an open source platform, a thing that's cobbled together by a bunch of different people, that parts that you can swap in and out, like customization you can do that the MT Mini is not capable of doing, right? Like you can't just like open the NT Mini up and like plug in a VGA adapter and output it to your monitor, right? Where you can do that with the Mister.
I think it does have one though.
Yeah, but like you want another one? Sure. You want to plug in more RAM to that thing? You can. You want to have like an HDMI output? There you go. Like those things can all be done, right? And it's to your choice what you want to have.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a pause on this real quick because we're in front of this.
Back to the parser stuff.
So we were in this menu before. We read kind of what to do and then ignored some of it. So Emulation Station DE is the only thing I want to show up in Steam. I don't want all this other stuff showing up. And you can choose any of this stuff, right? You can have I can show you an example actually.
But I mean, I think it's good that they give the you don't have to adjust it here, but it's good that they give the options for folks if they like, hey, I don't want to use like Emulation Station, which is like a launcher for other emulators, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I just want to like, hey, I want to straight up launch this emulator with the games I want, it lets you do it, and like you just straight from the Steam menu go boop, and then it pops it up, right?
So this is kind of answering one of the questions I had before was how do you know which emulator it's running? You can choose if you want a specific emulator to run. Like if you're getting RetroArch and you're going to get one of these two, Swan Station or Beetle PSX HW. So like if you launch it from Emulation Station, it's going to launch in whichever one is set in RetroArch.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted it to run DuckStation, it seems like to me that you would need to then hit this parser button like this and have that show up in Steam too. So we'll just do that for now because I can always turn it off later, right? You know, not that big a deal. We're going to take this up here. The thing we didn't do, and I did this on the last podcast, was go to the preview up here. And then you hit generate app list. And then boom, there's Emulation Station. And look, there's Suikoden right there.
Yep.
So if you were to go here, this is how it would look in Steam.
Oh, cool. It pulls the box art too. That's the long box art. That's nice.
Yeah. Yep. So you save the app list. But now, JJ, we're going to have a problem. If I went to try and play that game, what would happen?
It would open a thing.
Would it?
I don't know. What are we talking about?
It's not going to run.
Oh, yeah, sure. Right. Because you haven't put the... It's going to try and launch a thing, and there's no thing to launch.
Right. So we have to copy over a BIOS, which maybe we have to cut this part out, you know, because this is like illegal or something.
I mean, you know, your own legally dumped BIOS is not illegal.
Ah, good point.
So, you know, for really what this part is about is the BIOS is the thing, the software on the console that runs before it boots your game, right?
Right.
If your console has a menu you can go to, like when you turn the console on and a menu shows up, that's a BIOS, right? Or if there's a logo screen, usually that's some form of BIOS, like the logo of the manufacturer of the console. You know, your GameCube logo, your your PlayStation 1 logo with that sound. Ooh, that sound. The menu from your Xbox or your PS3, right? Those are all contained within the BIOS.
Right. So, just for editing purposes, in case when I'm staring at this later, I decide to take it out, we had to add a BIOS. We did it.
Yeah.
It's been added. I don't know what's out there to show. Maybe I'll look around to see what's allowed. So here we are. We're back into big picture or gaming mode, as they call it. And if you go to the Steam library, boom. What's right there, JJ? Suikoden,
nice.
Huh? Yeah. And if we go into this EMU deck tab, it opens Emulation Station if we want it to. And it should have Suikoden. Yeah, so it's got the Game Boy and the PlayStation. See them? Kind of lined up together. It's got those 11 games we dumped before, so I guess that means the ROMs are still there. And this nice little fancy list. Look at that, huh?
Nice.
And you can download, you can go in here and you can do something called, where's the menu? There's the menu. Scraper.
Mm-hmm.
And scrape from blah, blah, blah. Scrape all games. Start. Oh, I have to select a system to scrape. So let's scrape the Game Boy while we chat about my weekend.
Okay.
So back. I have to kind of like control the Steam Deck from afar. Okay, so it's gonna go through and try and like find box art and information and all that sort of stuff for all the games that I've dumped from my own carts, right?
Oh, cool.
And these carts are kind of important to me because in going through and pulling out everything, I did the full thing, JJ. I brought out the Atari 2600. I brought out the NES. I brought out the SNES. I brought out the other SNES. I grabbed, what else did I grab? All the mobile little guys, the Game Boy, the everything. I pulled them all out. I pulled out all the games and I just stared at it for a couple hours to try and figure out to me what was important. Like, what did I enjoy looking at? Because with things like the Mister, with us exploring this thing in front of me, which is plugged into a computer right now, can play an N64, right?
Yeah.
And it can play it so it looks right in my hands. I don't have to sit in front of a TV if I don't want to, or I could because I bought the dock, right? And I can plug that in and it'll run it to the TV. I may not even need the Mister. I mean, I'm assuming the Steam Deck can run higher stuff than the Mister can. Although, yes, I understand the differences in emulation between the two. And that's why I'm still somewhat interested in a Mister.
Yeah. I mean, we
and
talked
the
about
ideas behind it.
Go back and listen to that episode we did several episodes ago on emulation if people are interested in those differences.
Yeah, the FPGA and how it works and all that sort of stuff is pretty cool. It doesn't have a lot of ability to get higher like this thing can. Like this thing can do PS3, right? That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy if you think about it. Okay, yeah. 11 games successfully scraped. Do we want to keep talking about what I did, or do we want to look at these scraper things real quick?
Go
look at these.
Well, I mean, let's put us on a loop here or something. Yeah, great.
Whoa! Oh, that's cool, and it has like actual boxes on it.
Yeah, this is the box art, right? You want the box art on the box,
but it's got the box art, the cartridge, and a game file behind it. That is a really cool version of a setup of this stuff. That is awesome. Way to go. Way to go, Emulation Station. So if we go into PlayStation, so there's nothing for Suikoden. So
right, well, there could have been, but you didn't check to scrape.
Okay,
it,
well,
right?
You know what, JJ, you're right. I should have just selected it. I'll switch it, and then we'll keep talking. Because you know what? Why not?
It won't take as long because there's only
no. It'll take it's like 5 seconds. We won't have any time to talk about it. But I sat there with all my old systems. And I did for a long time think I can't get rid of any of this. I love all this stuff. And it's like, do I really love all this stuff? Or do I love the idea of this stuff? You know what I mean? Like, I like the idea that it's sitting here in my closet doing nothing, right? Like it's not
terrible. It's a terrible screen grab of Suikoden II. What are they doing? Come on. That is what the box looks like, though.
So you can go in and put other art in here. I don't know exactly how.
Oh, that's cool. They have like little movies and stuff too.
That's cool. So they scrape some videos and stuff too of this thing. I have no idea. I think it's making noise underneath us right now. I can't hear it, so I should probably turn that down in case it's being really loud. Yeah, I can see the levels going. So now that's a lot quieter. I can see the levels almost as loud as me while I was talking. I was like, ooh, this is not a good thing. Yes. I guess this is maybe the pause screen or...
Yeah, this is the start screen right here.
The start screen? But it's not actually the game. I think it's just running a video.
No, this isn't the game. This is not the game.
The intro of the game. Yeah. So we could leave that up for a second.
Something for the people to watch.
Yeah.
So you were looking at all your systems. You had them all arrayed.
And I started and I looked at the 2600 and I was like, I don't care about plugging in the 2600 anymore. It's so much work. You have to get. I had to get to test
RF
it.
Converter.
You have to get an RF converter, and it doesn't look right. It's all bled all over the place because they planned for it, to be on a CRT. It doesn't,
Right. Yeah. It probably looks really bad on an LCD.
The giant pang of nostalgia I got from staring at the Asteroids box, was cool. And I thought, you know what if Asteroids was just, that box was just out on a shelf? And and then I spiraled down that hole that we talked about a while ago that kind of led to the Steam Deck and the emulation and everything. It was like, well, do I need to be able to, if I'm going to keep the game, I need to keep the thing to plug it into. It's like, no, I could just grab the Steam Deck and show people what, like if the kids are like, what's that? Like, well, let me show you. You used to take that and plug it into this thing called an Atari, and then it would play this game, and here's the game,
I mean, like, that one in particular, right? Asteroids has been cloned so many times. There's probably a version on their phone if they want,
I'm sure I have it on Steam also, yeah.
Yeah, but like,
I mean, there's an Atari 50-year collection that just came out with all this stuff too. It's not like,
which by the way I hear is like that is an amazing collection supposedly. Really, really good. It's like
cool.
They said it's like more of a documentary than a game collection.
Oh,
because, like,
okay.
You've played a lot of those games. How much of those games are like really games? Like some of them are pretty slight in terms of like what you actually can play.
I mean, Pac-Man and Asteroids are the two best ones on there. The rest of them were just like mind games, basically. Like when I was testing the Atari, I got out Outlaw, I think it was. And it's the one where you just have your shooter guy and they have their shooter guy. It's amazing how many of the games required 2 players. It was like, you gotta find somebody to play with.
I think Combat is the one I'm thinking of, where you're a tank.
With the tanks, yeah,
And if you don't have a second player, the second tank just sits there. You just drive around, you shoot the tank, and then that's the game.
That's over. Yep. There's no AI back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Pong the same way. Like if you're playing Pong one player, what are you doing?
Well, maybe you're an only child, JJ, and your parents didn't know.
Yeah, no, I'm not like, I'm just saying that, like, what really is there to play of those games other than to like play a round of that game because it's fun?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to switch it over to, because I'm staring right at it while we're talking. I'm going to switch it to Pokemon Blue and see what they've got here. Oh, there you go. That's mine. I'm sure people are really upset about the fact that they are now staring at a white screen, but it's what it is.
Yeah.
So I grabbed Asteroids.
Okay.
And I set it to the side, and I started to think about what if I could do that for every system in front of me. And I did, I pulled Perfect Dark out of the N64 pile, and I thought I loved this, and the Zelda games, I pulled those out of the pile. And I got through most of it. I got the analog boxes set off to the side. I got everything that was a console kind of set off to the side. And then when I got to like the analog pocket, I was like, this is kind of the same as the Steam Deck, but it's not. It's just so cool. And I really started to feel where I had gotten attached to games was like right the Game Boy era, where I could take games with me more than my consoles even. I still remember fondly my Game Gear, which I know a lot of people hated. I still remember fondly the Sega Nomad, which nobody had,
And no one could keep running for more than like 5 minutes.
Depending on, you had to plug it into a wall,
Yeah.
And while I can still play all those games and I have no intention of going and finding those Sega consoles, I still have a bunch of the Game Boy stuff here. So I think what's going to happen is I'm going to dump a bunch of this stuff and say, you know what, I'm really into emulating it. And the Game Boys, including maybe even the Pocket, might become wall art for my office in terms of putting them up on little stands or something on a shelf so I can see them. And storing Game Boy games is not the end of the world. They don't take up any space.
One binder of like sleeves effectively, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I've taken basically, I don't know, 4 bankers boxes worth of stuff and decided I think it's okay to say if I can't put this out and look at it because I want to look at it, I don't think I used to think that games had to be played. I think that was an opinion espoused by some of the people on Giant Bomb. Was like, if you're not playing it, it's not an art piece, or it's not. They're not for collectors, and it's like, well, I'm not exactly a collector. These are my games that were important to me, and if they're important enough to me that I just physically can't get rid of them, then they are important enough to go out, right, like on the shelf. And I think,
I think even it's different.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think saying that you're a collector of games versus saying these are games you owned originally from when you were a kid or, later in life that you just want to have because you have them or you got rid of them and you want to have them again. That's not collecting. That's just normal nostalgia. Like that's just like a thing, people wanting to have access to their childhoods and the things that were important to them earlier in life. That's not weird. And, you're not stealing a copy out of the hand of the hungry gamer out there.
Not anymore, right?
Right. Like if people want these things, they have access to them, and if they can't afford them, we're showing you a way you don't need to afford them.
Affording a Steam Deck or anything else like it is also rough, right? But getting the games and an old system. No, you don't. You can do it with a cheap another country one. Other countries make these
on your phone. You can play these on your phone. Like a lot of these emulators run on Android and iOS.
Yeah.
Well, iOS might be a little more difficult because, Apple makes everything harder, but they definitely almost all run on Android. A lot of them do. And look, whatever is in your phone is like 500 times more powerful than a Game Boy, or like 10 times more powerful, or probably 50 more times more powerful than like a PS1 and PS2. So
what was the stat on the Game Boy? It was like the Game Boy had more memory than the lunar lander.
It's something like that. And I would believe it too, because like, look, man, the 60s was a long time before the Game Boy came out in the 80s. Computers, people don't think about it, but computers advanced quite a lot in that time.
Yeah. So I might actually, since I'm thinking about doing it as like a wall piece, I might go track down like the Game Boy Advance that I got rid of, because I had a DS, and the DS could play my advanced games, and I was like, oh, well then I don't need this anymore. And then that DS that ran my advanced games actually broke. So then I was like, well, I don't have anything to run advanced games. So I don't know. The idea of refocusing to something that is displayable, because I've had, half of these sitting in boxes. The other half are just taking up room in drawers and shelves and all over the place. And it's like, I am never going to play those systems when I have this in front of me, right? Like I have this in front of me now. We can just pull up Final Fantasy Legend and play it in bed. Why do I want to sit in front of the SNES that looks bad on the TV, or pay analog to do it when, I don't know. There's a reason to do that, I think. And I might be being too glib about people's desires, because I don't think you should poo-poo the analog systems or anything like that.
What do you want and what works for your life, right?
Yeah.
For some people, they want the authentic thing. They want it to be not just a facsimile of the thing, right? Which is what's happening here. They want the thing. And if you want the thing and you have a CRT in your house, you can do the thing.
I mean, there's people out there soldering stuff to N64s to get them to HDMI and all that sort of stuff. But
I don't think
I have that in me.
I've watched a guy on YouTube, on Twitch, who's just speed running Punch Out, and he has like a Super NES with an HDMI out in it because he wants to be able to stream it, right? Like, this stuff is a thing that you can do. Same with N64s, Dreamcasts, all these like,
I don't think there's a right,
done if you're willing to do it, right?
I don't think there's a right answer to this stuff, which is interesting, and why I think it made it so hard for me personally to find my right answer. Because it gave me anxiety thinking about how much stuff was just sitting here doing nothing, taking up room. You know what I mean? Let's see what happens. I
understand that. I have you want to talk about like you talked about yourself here. I have 2 or 3 shelves worth of games from over the years that are just sitting there, man. I haven't done anything with. I don't play 90% of these games. From PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, Switch, 360, like all these consoles that I've had over the years. It's like, I'm not going to go back and play my physical copy edition of Mass Effect 1 on the 360. Why would I do that? Like, no.
And I don't think I would go so far as to say like, oh, this game, like Jedi Fallen Order was so important to me, I'm going to go track down a disc copy to put it on a shelf. But like, my copy of Final Fantasy VIII is definitely going out on a shelf. I remember the birthday where I got my PlayStation, and the only game that I got with it was Final Fantasy VIII.
Man.
You know what I mean?
The
And
bad
like,
one.
oh, you take that back. You
I knew
take it back.
I knew that was the response I was going to get. That's why
I'm coming for you.
He's going to reach across this microphone and strangle me. Nah, folks. I'm kidding. I don't care. Final Fantasy.
He's ribbing me on purpose, specifically.
I am. I have a copy over there on my shelf as well. So but like I haven't done any curation, but I also don't have that many games for all of these things, and I have a closet and a set of shelves where they go, and I'm not adding to that list anymore. Although I guess that's not true. I bought a Switch game last couple Switch games last year, so it is very slowly being added to. But Switch games are smaller compared to some of these jewel cases.
But in the digital world, I mean, the last console, the last generation of consoles, we are in the last generation of consoles that will have physical media. The PlayStation 6.
They said that about the last generation, though.
And what did they do? They sold 2 of them, and now I'm almost certain at least the PlayStation will dump physical media going forward.
I mean, I don't know why the Xbox wouldn't have done it first, right? They tried to, and it didn't go good.
Yeah, I don't see either one of them. I don't see, maybe Nintendo still, because they'll have some reason that it's better for kids or whatever.
I mean, Nintendo's just going to keep the Switch around for 10 more years, and the frame rates are just going to go lower and lower. So you're going to end up with like
10 frames a second for Engage 2.
Fire Emblem 17 Engage 3 is going to have 7 frames a second, and you're going to be happy because, like, man, do you remember when you got like 20 frames a second before? Like, man.
Yeah. I'm going to click this and see what happens. Let's see what happens on this Suikoden install here. Oh, there goes Duck Station.
Yeah, I mean, what
could not be read.
Well, yeah, you didn't create one, right?
Okay.
Oh, that's the sound. We can't hear it, but that's the sound right there.
Oh, I'm sure it's there. I can see the waveform, JJ. It's there underneath us talking right now. Guaranteed.
This is my childhood right here. That sound.
Oh my God.
I played so much PS1.
Oh, give it to me. Come on, load. Yes.
Yep.
It's working. Look at all those pixels there. Woo. It's high res.
Oh yeah, fire, man. So cool.
I wish I could hear the game. I gotta set up.
This is a banger too, man. There's like a good opening movie. Not representative of the gameplay at all, but this is sweet.
I have one more hardware lane for audio to go into my mixer. Fake hardware lane, I guess technically. So now I know what I should be doing with it, because I really wish I could hear what's happening right now. Oh
yeah. Dude, this opening movie song goes hard, man. This is good. It's unfortunately way harder than the actual music you're gonna get in the beginning several hours of the game.
What's funny about it is I can't wait to edit it because I want to hear what it sounds like. I hope I mixed it low enough.
Look at all these old school character portraits too.
I hope I mixed it low enough because it's just sort of guessing that around this area. Whoa, nice.
Yeah, Luca.
Well, JJ, how do you feel? This is running off a Steam Deck.
Heck yeah, man, it's cool.
That is being streamed to you.
I'm going to go back and play this game tonight. Play the first 3 hours and be like, yep, sure is this game. And then
that's so cool. I can't believe it. It makes me so nostalgic for the things that are sitting behind me in boxes now, getting ready to get, not parted out, but you know what I mean? Get ready to be sent off to their new life where they will be enjoyed, right? Because I'm not enjoying them, but I enjoy being able to see I never played Suikoden II. Well, I'm not going to go buy a copy and get a PlayStation and do that. I just don't have the time, energy, or money, or space. Really is one of the major problems here. Is we live in a decently sized home. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. You know what I mean?
This one is a timely one to bring up because I believe this year they are releasing Suikoden 1 and 2, the
remasters.
Remasters, yeah.
Yeah, on
I've
Steam.
seen on Steam and probably other places, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I mention it because we're on the Steam Deck. Is that Cyrus?
Yeah, well, it is. It is not Cyrus. That's a COTC joke for folks out there who play. But I mentioned it because if you play this game and get through a little bit of it, and then go look at what those remasters look like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, it's not the same. Like they've done some work, right? And it does not look the way it did. And it doesn't look the way it did too, because also then they changed the font and you're like, why? The old font was cool. Stop.
I'm gonna run an experiment here where we're gonna exit this actually and try and run it through Emulation Station and see. So that ran DuckStation underneath it. We saw it load into DuckStation. So what happens if we run it through? Whoopsie! Why did it do that? What happens if we run it through Emulation Station? Yeah, I must have hit it at an angle. I'm kind of like reaching with my left arm as far as I can to control this thing without picking it up. I wasn't really set up for this exact part of it. What happened though? Okay, launching game. That was a nice little window.
What happened?
We'll see. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Okay.
I was waiting for you to finish your thought there in the middle.
Oh, what was my thought?
You said like what happened though was.
Oh, what happened once I made the physical. I was sitting there with things in my hands. Like I don't really want to get rid of this analog pocket, because if I get rid of it, then I'm definitely getting rid of the games, right? I'm not going to play on a little tiny Game Boy Color screen when I have the Steam Deck, right? Like it looks too good to do that. So either the pocket's going to go, and if the pocket goes, then all the games go. And I was stuck. I had kind of gotten up to that point, and I was just like, I just couldn't feel like I could do it. And like when I thought of it, and I thought, well, what if I lined up all the mobile devices I have? It doesn't even have to just be the Game Boys, right? I have a PS Vita in the drawer there. I have a Nintendo 3DS in the drawer there. You know what I mean? I've got all that stuff in the drawer there. Why don't I make a shelf and like put them out? You know what I mean? And that, once you have that feeling of relief, I think, from making a decision is, I know we're getting a little too existential for watching Suikoden in the background, but that feeling of relief from making a decision like that was when you knew you made the right choice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and bring up the,
I think you hit continue there, so that's going to fail because you don't have a memory card probably.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is bring up the RetroArch. Oh, that's fast forward and rewind.
Well, I think let's
well, JJ. What a bummer, huh?
I think let's kind of try and wrap it here. I think the
only thing I would like to do is to have seen what Emulation Station was running, but I don't think I'm gonna get. Oh wait, did that have?
I mean, you're
how to bring up right? How to bring up the RetroArch menu. That'll be a problem for another day. I'd be curious to see what emulator it's running, but that's not for today. Yeah, we had a little technical difficulty there with directly my computer for some reason. All the audio just went dead, and that was fun. Not really.
Yeah, but my guess is it's either one of the two RetroArch ones, and it's a question of which one.
Oh, it's got to be, right? I just don't know how to bring up the menu.
You could probably check view game details there or something. It might show you, but
yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I really had a personal epiphany.
Like L3? I don't know. Those are the kinds of things that would be set on a PS1 controller that wouldn't have no setting.
I did feel like I had like a mental breakthrough thanks to this time we've been spending doing this stuff. And you, I mean, even off the podcast, I want to thank you, man, for walking me through simple things like, you know, what does it mean? What does a BIOS actually mean? What can I make it do? What do I need to have to make things work? And it's not easy. I think it's really time consuming to try and figure it all out with no help. So thank you.
Yeah. I think also, like, you know, it gets more difficult the farther you go, right?
Sure.
The closer you get to now. Like, this is quite, I don't know. I've done this enough times that I consider this to be quite easy. PS1 and PS2 is also not very hard. I haven't been super interested in emulating GameCube, but that's there. I know emulation for Wii and Switch is quite good.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to emulate a PS3 or an Xbox 360,
you're gonna have to tinker.
It's more work. Yeah, quite a bit more.
Yeah. And to me, the tinkering part of it is something that is latent in my enjoyment of doing stuff like this. Just because stuff works easily most of the time. Like, we build the computers not just because, oh, well, now I have a super fast computer and it was maybe a little cheaper. It's like, no, like the tinkering part of like, what exactly can I make this do? And how can I make it do what I want it to do? And what back behind the scenes stuff can I tinker with? That has been latent in me for a little while. And I appreciate it coming back out. And, making decisions like that are hard,
Yeah, man. I also I'm a fiddler. I love to fiddle with stuff. I love to tinker, and these are great things to do that with because, as you will discover, there's just an infinite list of stuff you can tinker with them. It's like, in this game I want to tilt the settings a little bit, and you can adjust them, and but like I want to make my save states work this way here because it's convenient for the controls and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Awesome. Well, that was 344, and I think 345 we'll switch it up a little bit. We'll step away from the Steam Deck for a while, and head a different direction, I think.
Cool.
No spoiler, just a teaser.
I can give people an update on Blade and his book club and how it's going.
Absolutely. I'm curious.
Well, for folks who want to check us out, you can find us out there. We're at We Were Gamers on social media, so check that out. And we're also on your favorite podcasting app. Give us those 5 stars. We appreciate them. Spotify, and Google, and Apple, and all those great podcasting locales.
This is a good one to go check on YouTube.
Yeah, and the YouTubes have been primo recently. I just cannot emphasize enough how great they have been. So folks should check us out on there. youtube.com/@WeWereGamers.